Now, first of all, this morning, there's growing pressure on the chair of one of the inquiries into historical allegations of child abuse to step down. Fiona Woolf, the Lord Mayor of London, is the second person to be appointed to the role, but now some MPs, victims of child abuse and their legal teams, have said that she's not a suitable person to lead the inquiry. In July, claims of an establishment cover-up of historical child sex abuse involving public figures, including politicians, prompted Home Secretary Theresa May to announce 2 inquiries, one of which was set up to investigate the way public bodies and other non-state institutions have handled child sex abuse claims, led by former Judge Elizabeth Butler-Sloss. Of particular concern was a dossier handed to Leon Brittan, who was Home Secretary in the early 80s. It alleged that some politicians were involved in a paedophile ring. Within a week, Elizabeth Butler-Sloss was forced to stand down because of questions about the way her late brother, Sir Michael Havers, who was Attorney General in the 1980s, had handled information in that dossier. On the 5th of September, the Home Secretary announced that Fiona Woolf, a lawyer, would now chair the inquiry. However, in a letter to Theresa May, Ms Woolf said that she had hosted 3 dinner events for former Home Secretary Leon Brittan and dined at their home twice since 2008. This was raised when she appeared at the Home Affairs Select Committee yesterday.
And by my reckoning, you've had 5 dinner parties with him. You've met his wife on several occasions for coffee privately. That is more, that's more frequently than I've seen some members of my family.
This is an inquiry about a lot of hundreds of institutions and thousands of failures. My dinner parties with Lord Brittan were at a time when I was a newly elected alderman and I needed to build my city network.
Fiona Woolf there. Well, I'm joined now by the Labour MP Simon Danczuk, who has investigated historical cases of child abuse by Cyril Smith in his own constituency of Rochdale. Simon Danczuk, do you think Fiona Woolf should go?
I think she should go, and I say that reluctantly, really, because we need to get some progress in terms of this inquiry, but she's clearly not suitable for the role. Her performance at the Home Affairs Select Committee yesterday was very disappointing, and I'm sure that the survivors of child abuse will be disappointed that this woman is their champion, effectively, because she's too connected to the establishment. More importantly, she's too connected to Sir Leon Brittan, and he's somebody that this inquiry will have to investigate because of his role as Home Secretary at the height of a lot of this controversy around child sex abuse.
Right, well, you say it's her connection to Leon Brittan. I mean, how connected has she been? Inviting someone round for dinner or having the odd dinner party together, does that really mean they have a close friendship?
Well, I would say so. Where I come from, if you have somebody around for dinner on 5 occasions and, you meet them on a relatively regular basis, you would say that they were good friends, and that's just not acceptable. You can't have somebody chairing this inquiry that doesn't carry the confidence, not just of the public, but as importantly, the confidence of the survivors of child sex abuse. And all the messages I get from the survivors is that Fiona Woolf is completely unsuitable for the job.
But do you accept that all this prevarication, as you yourself said at the beginning of this interview, only serves to delay the important work that needs to be carried out on child abuse, and every time a new candidate is put forward and found to be inappropriate, in your words, it's just delayed further? Yes,
no, it is delaying it, and that's what's so unsuitable about this. We do need to make progress. What I would suggest is that Fiona Woolf steps aside and we use one of the panel members. There's a great panel of people surrounding the chair with lots of experience on these issues. One of those could step forward and effectively chair the inquiry, and then progress can be made. But people are left wondering why the government have handled this in such a way, why we get to a position where they're appointing somebody who is so close to somebody who needs to be investigated by the inquiry. It does beg belief, really.
Right, well, the sort of implication there in your comments is that there's some sort of conspiracy going on in terms of who's being appointed by the government.
Well, you can't help but wonder that. Many of the survivors are suspicious of the government's handling of this. They haven't acted very quickly from the initial announcement that there was going to be an inquiry. Things have dragged on over the summer, and now they appoint a second chair who's wholly unsuitable. I just don't get it, and I think the Home Secretary should explain, what checks were made in terms of Fiona Woolf. Did they not realise that she was so close to Sir Leon Brittan when they appointed her? I mean, it begs belief, it really does.
Simon Danczuk of Westminster, thank you.
Mark Harper, what qualifications does Fiona Woolf have to lead an inquiry into child abuse?
Well, I think there's two things, and Simon actually put his finger on it there. The other thing the Home Secretary announced yesterday were the rest of the panel members. And my understanding is the panel consists of the people that will be assisting Fiona Woolf, consist of experts in a variety of fields.
But what qualifications
relevant.
does she have?
Well, her job is to chair the inquiry, and my understanding
So she has no qualifications?
Well, if you'd let me finish answering the question. She's an experienced lawyer, she's an experienced chair, and I understand she has experience, for example, of chairing the Competition Commission. So her role is to chair the inquiry. The inquiry panel, which was appointed yesterday, was specialists in relevant fields, who I understand all back Fiona Woolf's position as chair, will be assisting her. So it's not the thing is, it's not a one-woman band. There's a panel.
I understand. It's an inquiry.
She's the chairman of it. She's got a whole range of people to assist.
So if the only qualification required was the qualification to be able to chair something, not of any expertise in the area, but simply to chair something, why can't you find someone who wasn't a friend of Liam Britain's?
Well, she's an experienced lawyer, which I think is important.
But plenty of them around the country's awash in lawyers.
She's an experienced lawyer, she's an experienced chair, she's got a panel of experienced people who will support her appointment.
But the panel's separate.
Including, I understand, someone on the panel who is themselves a victim of child abuse, and they've come out and supported
but that's
her
the panel. I'm asking about her. So we need an experienced chair. We need somebody who's a lawyer, you seem to be saying as well, why that escapes me. So a chair and a lawyer. We couldn't find a chair and a lawyer who wasn't a friend of Liam Britain's.
Well, I think the point that Simon was making, I don't think is quite right. My understanding, having listened to her evidence yesterday, is that she knew Leon Brittain in a business sense, and she made that very clear, and I think she set that out for the Home Secretary in the committee. I think she said in her evidence she wasn't close friends with him at all.
Really? Well, she
made it quite clear that she did not have any conflict of interest that would. She
would claim that, but she lives on the same street as Liam Brittain. She dines with him. She invited Lord and Lady Brittain to a dinner party at the residence. There were then two further dinner parties at the residence. They live in the same street as it. So we couldn't find a lawyer chairman that hadn't been a good friend of Liam Brittain's.
Well, I don't think she was a good friend. She was making the point.
Okay, strike the word good and let's just call a friend.
She knew him. I don't think that rules her out of doing
but Liam Brittain is key in this. His role as Home Secretary is a crucial part of this inquiry. So we couldn't find some, given that you've accepted she has no qualifications in the child abuse area at all, unlike the previous one that you appointed, Chair Butler Schloss, who was also too close to the establishment.
My understanding is her role is to be the chair. She's an experienced lawyer and she's an experienced chair.
Why was the first...
she has a panel of...
Sure, I understand that, but why was the first chair that you chose an expert in child abuse? And why has it suddenly not become necessary to have an expert in child abuse second time round?
Well, Baroness Butler-Schloss was clearly very well qualified in the area of family law. She was an experienced judge. I think it was her family relationship with the former Attorney General that ruled her out of that, and she herself then concluded that she shouldn't put herself forward. And I don't think that same relationship is in place in this case.
I mean, the British establishment is still so close-knit in 2014, you can't find anyone who's independent. That's the truth of it.
No, I don't think that's right
at
all.
Should she go?
Well, I just think... Someone said on Twitter today, surely in the whole of the country we can find someone to head this up who hasn't had dinner with Leon Brittain. Whether or not it's a good friend or not...
I think that's a big category.
Well, and also, I mean, I'll give you a name. I don't know if he wants to...
I've not had dinner with
Jim
Liam Brittain.
Gamble, who, a police officer, that was his profession, but he headed up the online child protection unit. He could be someone. I'm not saying he wants to do it, but there's a name. I knew him when I was working at the Home Office. There must be other people as well, but you're right. When it comes to these things, we end up with a very small, close-knit group of people, judges, QCs and whatever, and it's somehow that they have got some tremendous powers of chairing things and gathering and working with a team of people. And I just think we're better than that and we're bigger than that.
Do you feel that she should go?
I think it's really difficult for her to stay. If the victims are saying they don't have trust in her, we'll never get moving on this inquiry.
You raise an important point that I haven't raised with Mark Harper. We've now got lawyers. First of all, the government has maintained throughout that this inquiry is all about the victims. That's why we're having the inquiry. It is the victims, naturally. And that can only be right. Lawyers now, on behalf of the victims, are saying they have no confidence in her. Indeed, one is mounting a legal challenge against her.
Well, I saw that, but also my understanding is one of the people appointed to be on the panel actually is a victim of child abuse themselves, and they have confidence in her. So, I mean, you're always going to find somebody that doesn't have confidence in somebody, but I mean, I think her qualifications are very good. She's not doing this by herself. She's not a sole appointee. She's got a team of people
She'll
that she's going
she'll
to be
be gone by
leading.
the weekend, won't she?
No, I think that...
Don't you think? She'll be gone by the weekend.
Look, I don't blame her. I mean, the government, they had a second chance to do this properly, and I think they've put this woman in a really difficult position now, and they need to sort it out, and we need to get on with things. And I just don't think at this stage it's viable that she's the person that leads this and takes it forward.
I mean, you don't blame her even though she's a corporate lawyer. I mean, how bad does it get? And past president of the Chelsea Opera Group.
Well,
I mean, it's not...
That's,
We'll just move on, shall we?
Just leave that hanging,
that's
I
not
think,
a sin, necessarily.
Andrew.
You too,
Discuss.
After the show.